What is up, my Sabronis? We are here on episode 14, 15, 16 of the Sabo Standard Podcast. I don't even know what episode we're on anymore. And if you are watching this, you can see that we have a very ugly person on our screen. I don't normally call people ugly, but this man, he is a man of little hair and big nose and weird shirts that just so happens to decide he wanted to join me on this evening of College Basketball. So we have my buddy, my old friend, and by old friend, I don't mean like we've been friends for a long time. I mean he is old, Scott Cameron.
Hey, I'm kind of confused. So, are we doing 3 episodes at once?
It's just all one long one as long as college football talk takes us to do.
Well, I don't know if people know what time it is. I mean, it is 10:02 p.m. So, I told you my bedtime's 10:21.
They know that typically this is I always say it. I mean, if you listened, you would know that I always say I do this at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I got
I
one
know,
half
but
year old.
some people are old, and our bedtime's a little bit earlier in the evening.
Like I said, old friend. And I mean old time. My old Scott texted me. We were talking college football stuff the other day, and he's like, "When are you gonna have me on?" And I'm like, "Well, your takes are sometimes good enough to where it might be worth having the conversation with you." So he is here. We're gonna talk some college football. We're gonna talk this Ohio State game, and just kind of break down what happened, what went wrong, why. And I'm really not too upset with a lot of it, but at the same time too, it's just still annoying. So kind of talk that, and then just the playoff, what was right, what was wrong, because there were some okay things, and there were some things that I'm like, are we kidding me? That's really what it turned into. And then you and I, we agree on some of these takes. So I'm excited to just kind of break it down and see your perspective, see your thoughts, and get into it. So before we start that, you got anything important?
I got my rash taken care of. Does that count?
Thank you. Okay. I'm glad. I'm happy for you.
Hey, but I'll go ahead and I'll start the skeet shoot. So here's the deal. Offensively, Ohio State, okay, against Indiana. I really liked what they did with their run game. It's good to see that continued progression. It did not have what we needed when we needed it the most in short yardage. And that's kind of what has to do with the play calling. But the frustrating thing on offense was, we had Sayan, which had been just obliterating defenses. Granted, he's been obliterating defenses with an NFL wide receiver core, right? And then all of a sudden, we saw the wide receiver core, and all Indiana does is a cover three or some sort of short zone, and all of a sudden, Sayan can't read the safeties, and it's like, you mean to tell me of everyone on that sideline, NFL experience and everything, you can't tell Julian Sand, hey dude, check the deep safety or run a seam route or something, and it was so frustrating because we have the athletes. Why can't you just do a skinny post and then some sort of vertical and throw the safeties off and burn one? And we only did it once or twice maybe, and that was just really frustrating to constantly see not utilizing our athletes the best possible way, I think, and not preparing a Heisman Trophy finalist, and probably could have won the Heisman. Whoever won that game was winning the Heisman, right? So it was just really disappointing to see that not live up to the potential that, I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, I mean, part of it though too, I think is we took the shots early on, and then they stopped taking the shots. They were
Yeah.
aggressive early on, and then the second half, we here's the thing, the holding, or not the holding, because Indiana was holding on long. The offensive
Both
line,
teams were holding.
our offensive line was not holding at all because he was getting pressured like crazy, especially in the first half and the first drive of the third quarter. And then after that, they scored their touchdown. We went on 2 really, really good drives, and we were taking what they were giving us. And that was the thing. They were taking what they were giving us, and we were getting down the field, and then they get to the red zone. And that's where
Yep.
the play calling to me was the most disappointing. But even then, so the second to last drive, not the very last one where we had a chance to, with 12 seconds left. The second last drive, we drive down. It's third down, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. We're at the 6-yard line, and we do the sprint out left pass to Jeremiah Smith, who I throw it up to him as many times as you want. I'm all for it. But when you have a corner that's giving you outside leverage already, and you're trying to run at him outside, sprint out to the left to your weak side, it's just not the smartest play call. Whatever the reason they decide to do it, whatever, it's not there. Then they on fourth down, we have Keenholz that you practice this stuff. You had an actual game where you did it with him and you didn't use him. And Julian Sain
Yeah.
did the same thing versus Michigan. He tries to go that quarterback sneak and he puts his knee down. Whatever. Okay, bad play call, right decision. I'm all for going for it. But if you're going to kick the field goal, you do it on that one and go for it later on. And so we
Yeah.
don't do it. We don't get it. They get the ball back. We get the stop. We get the ball back, and we go on another really good long drive, take some clock off, get down there, get down there, get down there, and this time he would settle for the field goal. And I'm not saying I called him missing it, but I just had this feeling as fielding lined up for it that it was just gonna not go his way because it was too close and it just meant too much. And then
It was like the Marty McFly where like, oh, this is a good one. I've seen this one before, and it's like, yeah, I knew. I'm like, oh, he's gonna biff this, and
yeah,
lo and behold,
it's so frustrating that we miss it. Again, this loss meant nothing though, and so like I can be so pissed off at an Ohio State loss, but at the end of the day, this one doesn't matter other than the fact that we're not Big Ten champs. And honestly, like the same old saying of it's hard to beat the same team twice. If we can play this team again, I think they're gonna have a hard time beating us twice. I really, really think that we just played the worst game all season for whatever reason that we did not play well. For whatever reason it was that we didn't play well. Heartline distraction, hangover after beat Michigan for the first time in a few years. A lot going on. There's no excuse, but there is an excuse. And so whatever, I can live with it as long as we get them again. It doesn't happen. If that's the same game plan going forward, then I'm disappointed.
right. And I think you mentioned the Heartline, you mentioned the Michigan hangover. What about the recruiting fiasco? It's like, oh, like
Yeah.
we lost two high quality receivers, the number one receiver. Oh my gosh, and it all worked out. But all that distraction. Now here's the other thing. You're talking about bringing in Keenholz, and I always wondered why aren't they utilizing this dude? Dude, he is a freaking tank. He's Will Howard 2.0 when it comes to running. Big body, runs well. Here's the thing, though. Once you bring him in, the defenses are automatically going to be like, here comes the run. Perfect. That's where you do the old Tim Tebow. Throw over the top.
Yeah, but even on it's gonna be a run. We're lining up 4th and 1 with four
Sure.
tight ends on the field with saying
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter. Like, get
Yeah.
it's gonna do it. I'm really excited to watch Lincoln Keenholz next year at USF.
you have, but here's the thing with Keenholz, you have more opportunities in a power run game when you need it in a short yard situation. You just do. And yeah, I've heard a lot about Keenholz leaving the USF. I would not be surprised if that happens. And honestly, I would
I hope
not
he
blame
does.
him.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope he does.
Yeah.
I hope he leaves
Nothing personal.
Yes, I hope he leaves regardless. I want him to go. He seems a good kid. If they stay around, win national champ, he'll be a 2-time national champ. Go play somewhere you deserve it. And if he goes to USF,
Yeah.
I'll definitely root for him. There's a few schools I won't root for him there. Obviously, if he goes to that team of North, if he goes to Georgia or Miami or something. But other than that, like I'm gonna root for him. The only thing that hurts us with the playoff is the bracket.
Yeah.
This losing is dropping the two, and then actually the part that makes me the most mad, and it was kind of the same last year. It was the same for Oregon last year as a 1 seed because you drew Ohio State or Tennessee, which ended up being Ohio State. But for this one, like looking at it, the 1 and the 2 seeds are the teams that kind of get the worst draw. Like Indiana gets a bye, but guess what? You have to play Alabama or Oklahoma, and then Ohio State has Miami or Texas A&M. Whereas Georgia's going to play Tulane or Ole Miss without their coach, and Texas Tech gets Oregon or James Madison. Yeah, obviously Oregon's really good, but James Madison can pull the upset. Like the 3 and the 4 get the better draws here, and that's where I'm almost tired of the playoff bracket. I'm tired of the playoff bracket of automatic qualifiers. Here's the thing: I know that they want your SEC champion and your Big Ten champion, and those are the two that really matter. That's what they're fighting for. But essentially, your Big 12 and ACC champ if those teams are really good. But you have these automatic qualifiers that determine that you get these top 5 teams in, top 5 conference champs, and that allows Tulane and James Madison in as a participation award. When here's the thing, your SEC champ is always going to be in, and your Big Ten champ is always going to be in because they're always going to finish the top 12 team. If you win the SEC and the Big Ten, you're a top 12 team. You're automatically in the playoff, because you're going to be top 12. And I think there are years where, like Cincinnati in 2020, Luke Fickell had a top 12 team in the country. Top 4 team in the country back then. He did with Desmond Ritter and Sauce Gardner and Kobe White. Like, there were good dudes on that team, NFL quality guys, and they were a good team. They were a top 4 team. Boise State last year was a top 12 team. I don't care what you say about them. Their one loss to Oregon was a really, really good loss. They had a really good season. They were top 12. They deserved to be in last year. UCF back in 2017 was one of the best 12 teams in the country. They deserve to be in. And right now, we're just giving those teams an opt-in, like an automatic way in, when teams that got left out that are top 12 teams. And I don't think it should be participation anymore. If you deserve it, and you're top 12, you should be in it. And they're taking those spots away for Tulane and for James Madison that this year aren't that.
So hold on. Basically, what I feel like going way back to the beginning of what you were saying, because you've gone like 40 different spots here. So going back to the seeding, they're basically placating Ohio State and saying, "Hey guys, we still think you're the number 2 team in the nation. Oh, but by the way, we're going to make you punish it." So it's like, yeah, I'd much rather not be the number 2 team. And so when you're talking about that, yeah, the matchup possibilities. But I was telling you before we started recording this, I said I'm going to have a hot take. So we got a hot take right here. Are you ready? I personally think Alabama deserves to be in. Alabama is not the problem. And I've changed my opinion of this over the last 48 hours. Initially, I was like, "Oh, Alabama doesn't deserve to be in. They have 3 losses." However, they did play in the SEC championship game. Yes, I know the Florida State loss, and they got killed, mind you, was bad. But the problem is not necessarily Alabama getting in, even though I know there's a lot of money there and stuff. It's like what you were talking about just a second ago. Why do we have 2 non-major conference teams in the playoffs? Tulane is 11-2. And here's the thing. I feel like we're paying the price, we're paying the penance for the UCFs, for the Boise States. We're paying the sins of our fathers here 10, 15 years later because there was actually halfway decent teams back then and we didn't give them a chance. Well, here's the thing. Boise State was in the playoff last year because, yeah, they were really good. And they had a Heisman finalist on that team.
I think it should be a winner.
Can you name a player from Tulane or James Madison?
No,
I can't either. So what are we doing? So it's almost like the spirit of the rule has been completely abused, and as a result, we have, why not BYU? Why not Virginia? I know they didn't win their title game, but they only lost 2 games. Why not, of course, the big elephant in the room, Notre Dame? So the real problem is not necessarily Alabama, who I think is the deepest conference, the SEC this year. It's the fact that we have 2. It's the fact that we have 2 teams that should not even be in. Period.
Right, but I like, and because I have this feeling of like, is Bama a top 12 team? Maybe. I think they're on the fringe. But here's the thing. I
think they're 12. Yeah, I think I would put them at 12.
You lost, and if you're 12 and there's the top 11 teams in front of you in, then I'm willing to have that argument and agree with you. I think Texas actually deserves to be in over Alabama if we're comparing 3 losses.
And if you take the 2 patsies out, yeah, you put Texas and you put Notre Dame in. That's my opinion.
And the fact of the matter is, like, we don't get that because they have these tie-ins, these draws, you have to get these top 5 teams in, which I think this is going to change very quickly. I think we're going to go to 16 a lot quicker than we wanted, and I think there's going to be no auto qualifiers. It's going to be what we just said, the top 16 teams. But here's the thing for Notre Dame or for Alabama that I just don't like, and that frustrates me, and that's why I don't think they deserve to be in, is that last year SMU had 1 loss going to conference championship game. They lost, they stayed in. They were a at-large team, okay? Whatever. There's no 12 team better than them. It is what it is. Ohio State, yes, on Saturday, lost the conference championship game, and they got punished by dropping to 2, but that's not really punishment because you just put Indiana at 1. But they still dropped because they lost the game, right?
But we did get punished because we have a harder route.
Yes, and you got punished by not making us the 3 seed or the 4 seed. But at the end of the day, Bama loses a 3rd game. If you don't want to not drop, then don't lose the 3rd game. But here's the thing. They didn't drop. They did not get punished for losing that game. It's not like they lost it, a close competitive game 28-28, and Georgia just found a way to get to the end of the field right before the end and kick a field goal to win it, or it became the 2-point conversions at the end. That's all dumb luck anyway. They got absolutely steamrolled and boat raced by Georgia, and they did not get punished in the slightest for it. When I think Texas is a better 3-loss team, when I think that Notre Dame is more deserving, and at the end of the day, Notre Dame is a top 12 team in the playoff right now. Now, here's Notre Dame's one thing that sucks for them. You lost 2 games. And in this playoff era, you are allowed to lose a game. Unlike before, in the 4-team, if you could lose a game sometimes and get in, but most of the time you had to win all 4. You had to be undefeated. Now you're able to have 1 loss. You're able to have 2 losses. And that's the precedent. Now, Notre Dame had 2 losses at the very beginning. They won 10 games the rest of the way by like an average margin of like 28 points per game. They dominated the end. They were one of the best 12 teams, and they didn't get in. And I thought they got punished for it. But at the same time, too, win 11 games and you're in. Same with Texas. Like, I can gripe that I think Texas is one of the top 12 teams. Don't lose to Florida. Like, Texas is allowed to lose to Ohio State. They're allowed to lose to Georgia, but you're not allowed to lose to Florida. But that same thing's not set for Alabama. You're allowed to lose to Georgia in the SEC championship game. You are allowed to lose to
but not Florida State.
Yeah, don't lose to Florida State. I can't even think what their other loss was later on. But yeah, you're not allowed to lose to Florida State. And they did, and they didn't get punished for that. Now, had they beat Georgia in their 2 losses for Florida State, and gosh, who was their second loss? Whoever it was, like, you're not, if you do that but beat Georgia again, then you're in, and there's no debate about it. Like, I don't argue it at all. And here's the thing that's the most crap for Notre Dame. And again, Notre Dame, as much as I'm going to fight for them to be in, they don't deserve to be in because they didn't win the games that they should have to qualify as one of the 12 best, and 12 because it was never the 4 best. It was the 4 best, or was the 4 most deserving, or the next year was the 2 most deserving and the 2 best. There was never any set precedent. It's been the same thing through the 12-game playoff for 2 years.
Yeah,
it's so inconsistent. But if the ACC just let Miami and Virginia, the 2 top-ranked teams, be in the conference championship game, and not let a tiebreaker between 7-2 lost teams, then guess what? If Miami wins that game, they're in as one of the top 5 conference champs, and
there's no argument.
James Madison is out, and guess who's in? Alabama and Notre Dame. And there's no debate of Notre Dame got screwed for Alabama, who had 3 losses. So the whole junk of what they're trying to do to help these group of 5 teams, for what you said, is because UCF was really good in 2017, and Cincinnati was really good in 2019 and 2020, and Boise State was really good last year, we're just going to automatically assume Utah was really good in 2004. Like, we're going to automatically just assume that these teams deserve a shot every single year. If you're not one of the 12 best teams, I don't want you in. And here's the thing too, you know what would be really, really, really fun, would be really awesome, is a playoff with Tulane and James Madison, Boise State and UNLV, and the rest of those group of 5 schools have your own playoff. And then
what would you call that playoff? Would you call it the
group of 5, the college football,
the not as significant playoff?
Yeah, the NIT tournament. But I would watch that. I would watch the football NIT. I would watch that. And then if you're a top 12 team, if you're a top 12 team, then hey, you got to invite to the big boy party this year. You get to sit at the big table. Okay, it's Thanksgiving time, and you don't have to sit at the kids' table anymore. But you're not a top 12 team, and you don't deserve it. And so you're taking it away.
Especially honestly, with bowl games.
This first round of the playoff is abysmal. Like, the 19th is the Bama and Oklahoma game, that Friday night. The 20th, you get Miami and Texas A&M. That's the noon game. And then you get Tulane and Ole Miss at 3:30 on TNT in James Madison, Oregon. Like, I got to wait till New Year's Eve to watch Ohio State, and then New Year's Day you're going to get Oregon, Texas Tech, Bama, Indiana, Ole Miss, Georgia. And I don't want Ole Miss, Georgia again. They get 2 rematches in the first round. What are we doing?
Right. And it's the same thing with why is Tulane playing Ole Miss again? For the sake of variety, it was just, the whole thing was bad. And you're right. But again, I don't view it as much of a, I can't believe Alabama made it. I can believe they made it. I just can't believe that we're stuck with a team that has a loss and a team that has 2 losses. The whole thing doesn't make sense. But you did mention something very important, and this is something that I think is very understated. And you're the first person I've heard say something about it. It's how the conferences.
I'm the smartest person you talk to in regards to college football.
You have the standard. But I've thought it, but I've never said it out loud. But you're right. Not the smartest person thing, but about conferences. And I think I did text someone about this where I said the conference championship has to have a better path. Why the heck is Duke in it? Now, granted, I know they won. Why are they even in it? You're right. It should have been Miami. And, I mean, should we start talking about why Notre Dame should join the ACC or the Big Ten already? So it's like, what are we doing? Why, like, hey, Billy, you haven't played in the title game for 10 years. Would you like to go play some football? Yeah, I have 5 losses. Yay! What are we doing?
And at the same time, too, but here's the thing. Like, I almost want Ohio State just go independent at this point. I seriously, I want Ohio State just to freaking go independent because like, and Notre Dame literally, and here's the thing. It's like, I defend Notre Dame, but at the same time, too, they are such the biggest load of clowns ever. Okay, so they have this agreement with the ACC to get to play like 5. You're guaranteed like
games.
Here's 5 ACC schedules. The ACC is like, here's 5 of our teams for you to beat up on. And by the way, when you make the playoff, you don't have to give us any of the money, okay, that you get for being the playoff, but you can beat up on our 5 teams. And when COVID hit, we'll let you in the conference because you needed a schedule to play. Like, and then they don't get in and they don't want to play a bowl game. And I get it. Guess what? If Ohio State didn't make the playoff at this point in time, because there's no like big bowl to go to, I don't want to watch Ohio State play in the Cheez-It Bowl. I'm sorry. That's for Texas. That's for Michigan. That's for the you lost to Ohio State Bowl. Okay. I don't want to watch Ohio State in the Pop-Tart Bowl and the Cheez-It Bowl. So I get it at the same point, but at the same time too, it's like, but again, you don't like it when your games. And if Ohio State last year didn't get in because they had 2 losses and they weren't top 12 team, then that's the hand that they dealt themselves, and they don't deserve to be in the playoff. Now they did, and they got in and they won the whole thing. But there's been plenty of years in the 4 team where Ohio State was one of the best teams. They didn't get in 2019 or 2018. I think the Dwayne Haskins Ohio State team was one of the best Ohio State teams talent-wise that Urban Meyer had. And at the end of the day, I was a big fighter for they should have been in over Alabama. They got screwed by losing Alabama. But at the same time, too, if you just beat Purdue, there's no debate.
Yep. And that's the Urban Meyer one bad loss a year problem.
Yep.
Right.
And right now, Ryan Day's going through that. Ryan Day's had one bad loss a year. And yes, I'm saying the one bad loss was to the number 2 team in the country, but we shouldn't have lost that game.
Bad loss. It was just a game we should not have lost.
It was a bad game plan loss.
Yeah. And so. I mean, it's not like me losing to Michigan State, man. I went to that game where that guy kicked the field goal and he went down the field goal and he ran to my corner and everyone was just like, boo! Well, I'm not going to give the middle finger on your podcast, but it was not a pretty sight. But yeah, no problem. Keep it kid friendly. By the way, since we're talking about kid friendly, what is your favorite Pop-Tart anyway, since you hate them so much?
Ooh, I love I don't like the fruity ones. Yeah, brown sugar cinnamon is really good.
That surprises me.
The brown sugar cinnamon one is really good, but I gotta go like the chocolate chip cookie dough or the snickerdoodle one. I like the ones with like a good cookie-ish cream in the middle.
Not s'more? You don't like the s'more one?
It's okay. It's fine. But there's too much chocolate.
What?
Yeah, there's too much chocolate in the s'mores one. But like the cookie dough and the snickerdoodle one.
Okay, back to this. Okay. So there has to be something that the conferences do. And so let's just jump into this because we kind of brought it up with Notre Dame. I mean, they have a $55 million buyout, more or less. And I know that, like, Notre Dame's really mad at the ACC because they're like, you put this social media post out about Miami and comparing Miami to Notre Dame, and so that's what tipped the scales for the committee, and you shouldn't have done that, blah, 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 blah. There's already a divorce happening with Notre Dame and the ACC, and this kind of goes back to a couple years ago when the Big Ten got their NBC deal. And everyone's like, wait a minute, isn't the Fighting Irish with the NBC deal too? Everyone saw like, yeah, this is just a matter of time until the Big Ten and Notre Dame, kissy, the 2 kiss. All right, and so it's gonna happen.
I don't want them. I don't want them. They're too whiny.
I know.
There's too much drama. There's too much drama with them, and I don't want. Here's what I want. Here's what I want that makes our sport better. Okay, this is the only way that you fix these problems in the sport. Okay, like when I was a kid, when I was in high school, and I was first out of high school, I always loved college football more than the NFL, and I still probably do at this point in my life. But I start to appreciate the NFL a little bit more because here's the thing: it doesn't matter if you're in the NFC North, the AFC North, the NFC West, the AFC East. Every single 32 teams, they play by the exact same rules. The playoff isn't, we take the top 7 teams out of this one, the top 7 teams out of this, or top 9, and we debate them, and we put... No, it is structured for every single decision to be made based on whether it's how you acquire a player, how you talk to a coach, how you practice, how you do this. It is all the same for all 32 teams, and because of that, there's no at the end of the season like, well, this team deserved it a little bit more, because if you deserved it, you would win the games and you would be in. And college football literally has the Big Ten's rules and the SEC's rules and the ACC's rules and the Group of 5 rules and Notre Dame's rules. And then we have this group of committee that takes all those different rules and they play it together and they put it in a pot and they mix it around. And then they're like, we're going to put those here and this here and this here and this here and that here and this. And it just doesn't make the best playoff. At the end of the day, at the end of the season, are we going to have the best team in college football win the playoff? I think so. I think that the playoff, the 12-team playoff, is going to allow the top teams to always be in, and you're going to get the best team to win it, or one of the best teams. I just don't want to see James Madison and Tulane get that shot. I want those first-round games to be, I can't stay. Guys, it's Saturday before Christmas. I can't do anything because I'm watching 3 great playoff games. Just like we do in the NFL, that Super Wildcard weekend, I'm watching all those games. At this point in time, like, will I watch James Madison and Oregon? Yeah, of course I will. Will I watch Tulane and Ole Miss? Of course I will. But will I be glued to my seat and I have to, like, stop talking to me right now? No, it's not. It's not what's going to be, and that sucks. We're not doing what's best for the sport.
We don't have the Raiders playing the Patriots in the first round of the playoffs, right? It's like, well, the Raiders are in a really difficult division, and so therefore we really need no, we don't do that. You're right, and I think it kind of goes with what you're saying. I kind of had the fear a couple years ago about. More and more teams are going to go independent, big name teams, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama. I think a lot of SEC schools, because they're going to say like, wait a minute, how come like the North Carolinas of the world are getting the money that we're making for the conference, right? How come Purdue's getting the money that we're making for this conference? What's in it for us?
Well,
so there's a whole lot of issues.
Like, and I talked about this like way early on when I first started doing this again back at the beginning of the college football season, because I was mad about Big Noon Kickoff, and Ohio State basically is like Fox's like cash cow, and they're on Big Noon Kickoff 7 times in a year, while Purdue and Iowa and Nebraska have to get all that same cash from all of them, and Ohio State has to suffer by not getting the night games and the recruit games and all that stuff. So I don't know. There's just,
we did have some though. We did have some night games.
Yeah, against Western Michigan and
UCLA.
I
went to that game. Which big deal? Yeah, they're bad, right?
But it's not like it's not.
I went to that game.
It's not the Tennessee Ohio State game last year where it's like the atmosphere is supposed to be. It's supposed to be that. Just matchup of like, hey, this is our biggest one of the season, that you get recruits in. Hey, this is what the shoe is like when it's at night and it's electric. Yeah. Like, hey, this is what the shoe is like at night. It's dark outside and the crowd is old.
And you would have, if you had a 16-team playoff, you'd essentially it'd be like a NCAA March Madness, right? 1 plays 16. That would mean that Ohio State and those kind of teams would probably have a home playoff game. Regardless.
Yeah, and guess what? If you're the 1 in the 16 in the 1 in the 2 seed, like, you're getting a better matchup early on against an inferior opponent because you got the 1 and 2 seed.
Right.
Whereas
let's also talk about it's bigger than just that. Let's talk about the economics of the games, where they are located. If there's a playoff game in Columbus, that generates a lot of revenue. For businesses, restaurants, things like that. And because we were successful, we get a bye. Okay, that's nice. But there's also some lost generated revenue, not only from that home game, but by not having one. So,
and that's another part. And like the calendar is just so this. It's not even a real bye. It's just an extra week off because these games aren't until
right,
December 19th. It's December, like this weekend. This
9th.
Saturday is technically what, December. What's Saturday? December 11th. So the bye week for
13.
Bama's bye week is this week. Oklahoma gets a bye week. It's this week also. And then Ohio State gets another week off. And then not even another week off, another extra days because it's New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And so
Yeah, but that's because Army Navy has to have their own game. They get their own week.
No. I thought they did too. I was like, because I last week I like made I'm trying to like do this legitly now. I spent some time on Canva and doing all this stuff, and I made this like really nice graphic of a calendar. And
Woo!
Army Navy has to have, sure, they get their own week, but guess what? There's bowl games next weekend. So Army Navy doesn't have
Correct.
their own weekend. And so if you want Army Navy to have their own weekend or their own time, give them their own time slot. Before the Pac-12
Yeah.
dissolved, the Pac-12 championship game was on Friday night. And I remember Oregon and
I remember that.
USC a few years ago was a really fun game. Oregon Washington the last year when Penix got them to the national championship, that was a Friday night game. And
Great
so
game.
now move the Big 12 championship to Friday night, make Army Navy play noon on that Saturday of conference championship weekend, and then you can have your SEC game at 4 still and your Big 10 championship at 8:30. Or next week, like it just like high school playoffs. Hey, it's week 10, you won. This is who you play next week. And you have that week to prepare for it. So you do this, and then guess what? Bama and Oregon, you play next week. You and Army Navy, you get the 12 o'clock time slot. We can play another game at 4 o'clock. Like it, you can make it work without, and that's then you don't get a bye, and that way Ohio State and whoever, they can play the week after that, the week that they're playing these games, and their semifinals could be your New Year's Eve and New Year's Day game, and then your national championship is just a week later. So you're not pushing, you're pushing everything back up a week while also doing that. And then guess what? You can open up the transfer portal on January 1st. So the only two teams that are getting screwed out of it are the two teams that are playing national championship. I feel like if you're playing for a Natty, you're kind of okay if everybody else kind of gets a head start a little bit on transfer portal stuff. But you get kids around, you get coaches around, you get all this stuff. The calendar is just so screwed up, and
that's the problem. Yeah, the calendar is the other elephant in the room, and we've seen it screw over good teams and bad teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hurt both good and bad. So okay, if it's an equal killer, so it's not this is made to punish the little guys. No, it's made to punish everybody. So therefore, it's something that needs fixed. You're absolutely right. I mean, and the whole NIL thing is already a mess anyway. But then you get into paying players, and now we're seeing high school players are going to get paid, and money. I mean, you're a rap guy. Who said "mo money, mo problems"?
What, wasn't it P. Diddy? Or is that is big? It was Biggie, and then I think P. Diddy kind of he rephrased it as
sure. Okay. Hey, you're two for two. Good. So here's the thing: mo money, mo problems, and what we're seeing is mo money not only for the conferences and how that's divvied, but even crybabies like Notre Dame, how they've been able to bully their way in, and bull in a china shop, they're like, yeah, we didn't make it. We don't like you guys. We're leaving. And it's like, okay, well, shut up and leave then, you jerk. And no one likes you anyway.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Guys, I'm getting my ball and I'm leaving. And so it's like, so as a result, though, all that money, it's like, oh, you're mad because you don't get your pot of gold, pun intended. You're mad because you don't get your pot of gold, and you're just gonna leave. And I've seen, I saw someone post this the other day. If you refuse to play a bowl game, and if your coach did not get fired, because that would be or leave or whatever.
There's caveats to it, yeah.
Yeah, and so you have to then you can't do certain things. You can't transfer or something like that. There has to be something, but who's going to police that?
Yeah. Here's the thing too that I don't like about Notre Dame doing it. The one thing that I don't like, and I was fortunate enough to, for the first time in my life as a high school football player and high school football coach, of getting to play deeper into a season. Like we've made the
Yeah.
playoffs a lot, but to win a lot
Yeah.
of games, and not only are we playing in those extra games, but guess what we're doing? We're practicing every day, and we're lifting Monday and Wednesday like we always did.
We're
And so
talking about
because of that,
practice.
our kids that aren't seniors that are going to be back next year, they got 8
Yeah.
extra lifts in. They got
Correct.
12 extra real practices in. And Notre Dame, when you do this, what you're doing is like, yeah, it sucks for right now, but that's some extra practice that guys next year really could use. Like 12
Correct.
practices or a lot of practices with your coaches on a field doing football stuff. That's important. And it doesn't have to be the most rigorous stuff ever. Ohio State, the year that we didn't make it and we lost to Missouri, I don't think that they had very rigorous practices, and the game plan obviously didn't show. But guess what they did get? They got extra practice time. And that might not matter for Jeremiah Smith. That might not matter for Jeremiah Love. But that matters for the Lincoln Keatholds, for the Devin Brown, for somebody else. That does mean something, the practice time. And so
They did
Notre
get
Dame,
something that week. They got the crap kicked out of them.
they did, but the weeks between is what mattered for those guys. And just
Yeah.
being around
You're
guys. And
right.
like,
Yeah.
maybe like Jack Sawyer and all those guys came back after that Missouri loss and everything because of what could have been. And there probably is
Yeah.
times of practices where it was like, yeah, this sucks to be here, but guess what? I'm here with my boys. I'm here getting to do the thing that I love to do, and that's play football. When you're Notre Dame and you cut that short early, that's kind of a culture thing that kind of sets guys to like, hey, I want
Correct.
to play football. I want to be with my dudes. I want to be on the field doing something instead of like sitting at my dorm playing 2K doing nothing.
Do you think the players are going to leave Notre Dame because they're ticked off about the not playing a bowl game?
I don't think anybody's going to leave now this time, but I think if it's a trend that continues to go forward, I think that the right kid might be like, no, that's not for me.
Screw this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and you brought up something interesting about the bad Missouri loss. You know, everyone always talked about like, oh, the Michigan game that lost last year that really fired us up and we won. Before that even took place, I think you're right. The Missouri game was so bad that put a sour taste in JTT's mouth, Sawyer's mouth, and all of a sudden they're like, this is so bad. We can't go out like this.
Well, and that's why when they
You know,
lost to Michigan,
yeah.
they were so mad about it that they
Yeah.
had that players owning meeting with Coach Day, and they're like, Coach, like, you got to read the Bill Rebenit's book that just came out, Buckeye Brotherhood.
I heard it's really good.
It is, and he talked like one of the whole chapters was about that players only meeting, and they basically told Ryan Day like, dude, you're full of crap. Like the stuff that you're telling us about the game plan he's like, because the one thing they said was Ryan Day was like, the team that wins the rushing battle has won this game the last like 18 times, and they're like, yeah, sometimes, but a lot of the times the team that was up at halftime dominated the game and ran the ball the rest of the time, and that's why they were rushing leaders. They were passing, and they're like, so you're full of crap on that, and Ryan Day was kind of like, yeah, okay, you're right. And guess what happened in this Michigan game this year? We led the game in rushing. And not that we couldn't rush the ball early on, but like we played our game, and then the fourth quarter, they just said, we're up by a lot and we're running the ball all over you and you can't stop it. We tried to do that. We tried to not do that versus Indiana, and this was the result. And this is why for Ohio State, I think at the end of the day, like we're gonna take care of business. We're gonna be a team that can compete for national championships. So we're still the favorite. And so you got a lot of your rants out. I want to kind of let's go back to the playoff.
No, hold on.
Okay.
I going back to this real quick because we alluded to it at the beginning. I think it is hard to beat a team twice. That being said, Ole Miss is still going to win their first round game. But
yeah, no. So let's pick those games.
No, hold on.
Okay.
I do think there was an element of intentional vanilla.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
And so, because you
to
don't
an
want
extent.
and if you listen to Signetti, he was like, "No, we're out to play that." It's like, okay, you're seeing things from an Indiana you've always sucked perspective, and that's great, man. You won. I like the fact that someone different won.
That's
Good
the
for
biggest win in school history right there.
It's So I mean, it's great. But when in the scheme of things, and in an experience world, it's like, okay, cool, you won that. Not that it's insignificant, but it's not as important as what's coming. We're going to be ready.
Yeah. So let's pick these games. James Madison, Oregon. Obviously, I think Oregon's going to win that one.
Oregon by 40 points.
It's a 21.5 point spread. I'm going to take that, but 42 is a lot. Bama, Oklahoma. Obviously, Bama won the first time. This is one of the cool rematches. This one's at Oklahoma. Oklahoma beat Bama last year in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
that knocked them out. Bama's a 1.5 point favorite. I think Bama wins. Like, I still think Bama's one of the top 12 teams. I just don't think they were the most deserving. And so this is the year of, like, is it 12 best, 12 most deserving? And obviously the 12 best didn't get in, so they went with most deserving, which does make sense because Bama wasn't one of the most deserving. So it's
Oklahoma's offense is not consistent enough. It's not consistent enough, I think, to overcome a night game Alabama. There's still guys that are Saban guys on that team that are seasoned, and I think Alabama's going to win that game.
I agree.
I think they're going to be so mad because people are like, "You guys don't deserve to be in." Oh, we'll show it. We'll show we deserved. Yeah.
Ole Miss, Tulane. Ole Miss is only 17.5. Obviously, they don't have Lane Kiffin, but they have the rest of the coaching staff. He let them go back this week, and they're going to be there, which is cool. Like, those kids deserve that. And those kids deserve to have Lane Kiffin there if they wanted him there and he wanted to be there. Now, I don't know. You hear one side, you hear the other side, but at least the rest of the coaches are there, which does give them a chance to at least compete, maybe going after this game. But they're going to win this one. They're 17.5 point favorites. I don't know if they cover it just because they are going to be dealing with some crap with it, but I like Ole Miss.
I'm going to say Ole Miss by 21. And just because you are still having 4 or 5 star recruits, and they're going to have a chip on their shoulder too. And there's a bunch of 4 or 5 star guys playing against 1 and 2 star guys. Sorry.
Yep. Miami and Texas A&M. This one's at A&M. A&M's 3.5 point favorite. This one is tough. Like, and then as an Ohio State fan, Miami's defense is better. Texas A&M's offense is better. I think that A&M has the best player on the field in Marcel Reed, but he also had he's thrown like 5 picks in the last 3 games. But I really like their offense a lot. And I just don't trust Carson Beck. I don't trust Cristobal.
Yeah.
I think A&M gets it done. I think it's a 3-point win, so I don't think it covers, but I think it's a good fun game at College Station.
Yeah, Beck did not work out at Georgia for a reason, and he's barely kind of worked out at Miami. But you're right, man. I watched the SC game, the South Carolina game, and I was like, who is this guy? Who's the quarterback for A&M? Is that Taylor Sabo out there slinging the ball around with all those INTs? But it wasn't you. It was Reed. So So, I mean, it was.
And in the second half, you played like Marcel Reed in the second half.
It was so bad. But if you watch that second half, there's a lot of home cooking going on in that second half. It's like, ooh, tough calls. So that being said, I don't think A&M is that good, but they're good enough to beat Miami at home. I'm going to say at least touchdown.
Oregon, Texas Tech. Obviously, we don't have a line on that one yet, but I think Texas Tech's defense is absolutely legit. They are so good, and their offense is very like it's okay, and then it's like popcorn. As soon as one starts popping, it just the whole bag just takes off, and then their offense kind of like it takes a little bit, but once they get that momentum going, it's really hard for them to slow down. And Oregon all year long, like other than in the Indiana game, who did they play? And what was impressive about any of those wins? There was nothing really for me. And so I honestly think Texas Tech is going to be the favorite. But I think the Ducks get it done.
Listen, Texas Tech has an incredible defense. However, I think this is one of those games. Where is that game, by the way?
It's Orange Bowl, so Miami.
Okay, so no one has a real advantage. Oregon's like Ohio State. They travel well. I think this is one of those games where you don't look at the teams, you look at the coaches. Dan Lanning he's playing chess. And I don't think he'll be out-coached. I think he'll have his guys ready, and I think Oregon will win by a touchdown.
Yeah, these games, like these quarterfinal games, are all gonna be really good. That's gonna be a really fun game.
I agree. It's gonna be a good game.
And then Bama, Indiana is a lot of fun, and I really don't know on this one. I really don't know on Bama, Indiana. Like, my head says to pick Bama, but my heart says that I want the Indiana Ohio State rematch. Then I also want to play Bama in the national championship. That would be really cool too. Indiana has proven to be really good all season long, but they just had the biggest win of their career. Then Signetti says, I have 3.5 weeks to get this team ready to go win a national championship. Like, he knows that the talent's there. He knows that he's got to be locked and focused. I know that he's going to do that. if Nick Saban was the head coach of Bama and they got in like this, I would pick Alabama. But I
Yeah.
just don't
Oh yeah.
trust Kalen DeBoer enough to be able to get past Oklahoma and then Indiana. I think Netty is going to have those dudes absolutely just rolling with just
Yeah.
all adrenaline in the world, and Mendoza's going to win it. He's going to also give some crazy post-game speech. We're Indiana. We're the best football team.
He might play at Notre Dame next year with that crying.
You are so loud.
My wife's yelling at me.
I heard her. Ole Miss, Georgia. This is the rematch.
Okay, hold on. You didn't let me pick.
Oh, sorry. I figured your Mendoza impression was you picking.
No. I do think Alabama is as good as they are, or aren't. As inconsistent as they are is even more important. And Indiana, we saw how Indiana shut down 2 NFL wide receivers and a potential top 2 or 3.
Ryan Day kind of shut that down with.
I know, but Indiana has the ability to do things and to stop stuff. I know that sounds vague, but yeah, I'm gonna say Indiana by 5.
Yep. Ole Miss, Georgia. This is the only one that's not really that fun, and it's just because if Lane Kiffin was here, I honestly would consider picking Ole Miss. But Georgia's the hottest team in the country right now. Like just as from what they were to start the season, and just at the absolute end, like taking off like Ohio State, Indiana, both being so consistent all year. So Georgia's the best team right now. I think whatever that spread is, I'm going to take. I think Georgia wins by whatever, like the 6.5, 7.5, 8.5 that it's going to be. If they make it 10, 9.5, like I'd be like, I agree.
Yep, I agree with that too. Yeah, you're right. They'll cover the spread. Yeah, I think that'd probably end up being a 14-point game, 20-point game when it's all said and done. It could get really ugly really quick.
And then Ohio State A&M is what we both kind of had on that one.
It's a hard game.
It is. It worries me because that offense is so good, but like, man, there's nothing about our defense that makes me think like, yeah, they can't win. They can't stop them and hold them. And I just don't think our offense scores less than 13 again, 2 games in a row. And because of that, I think Ohio State is going to kind of it'll be close for a little bit, but I think we're that much better than A&M. I think we pull it out. Pretty good.
I think that's going to end up being a 10-point win. That is a little tricky game. It's in the Cotton Bowl. That's essentially
we keep facing these freaking Texas teams in Texas. Like,
but let's hear the SEC talk about how hard their world is. So I think Ohio State will end up winning by about 10 or so.
And then we had Oregon, Indiana. Again, it's really hard to beat the same team twice in a season. And Indiana went to Hudson the first time, and they absolutely whooped them, and they owned them. And Netty, he's Big Daddy over there to the Oregon Ducks right now. Can he do it 2 times in a row? Again, I don't know. Like, I don't know with this Indiana team because, like, Ohio State was the biggest win they've ever had in school history. If they beat Bama, that's the biggest win in school history because it's Bama and it's a playoff game. And then you get Oregon in a semifinal game. That would be the biggest win in school history. And like, that's a lot of pressure to win your biggest game in school history 3 times in a row.
Right.
But I think they get it done versus Oregon again. I really do.
You're such a tease.
I really think they are such a good football team. I just my thoughts of them going into the game and then what they did to us, like, again, with all the fake stuff that maybe we tried to do and hide and not do and all this stuff, but still, like, Indiana played a really good game and they beat us. And I was impressed because we've been the best team all season.
Correct. And if they can do it to us, they can do it to Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with Oregon's defense is not as solid as they think they are. Their offense is great. Moore does a great job, but their defense is what leaves them suspect. Now, one thing that we're not talking about this is Mendoza's going to win the Heisman, and there is the Heisman curse, So that does kind of pose an interesting thing, but it is one of those things where it's like, what team would I rather have represent the Big Ten in the national title game? And from what I've seen so far, I'd rather see Indiana.
Yeah. And then they will play
3.
Yeah.
By 3.
Okay. And then they'll play the winner of Georgia, Ohio State. And I I obviously going to pick Ohio State because I'm an Ohio State fan. This Ohio State centered show and all those things and whatever. We're Buckeyes. I bleed scarlet. My blood is literally red. But Georgia, but Georgia is the scariest team, and Georgia's the one team I didn't want to play into the national championship. If Georgia beats us, I would not be surprised. If Georgia was the favorite, I would not be surprised. If we lose this game, I'm not shocked at all. I'm gonna pick Ohio State, but my head is telling me Georgia. And honestly, if I was a smart man, when I get to that game, I would put like $25 on Georgia. That way, if we do lose, at least I got some cash in hand. And if we do win, then at least I pay $25 for them to win.
Like, I've done that before.
They could win that game 100%.
And now that game will be in the Peach Bowl, right?
Fiesta Bowl.
That's a Fiesta Bowl? Okay. Ohio State has a traditional pretty good showing in the Fiesta Bowl.
Unless we're playing Clemson.
Yeah. Don't even get me started. My name's Dabo Swaney. Anyways.
Pick your game. We're at 51 minutes.
Right.
Pick your game.
All right. So how am I supposed to answer this? Do you want me to answer this by my wallet or my heart?
I just told you what my heart was picking and what my head's picking. I gave you both winners.
Okay. So my heart, I'm going to say Ohio State by 1. My wallet,
Game-winning field goal. On a game-winning field goal.
My wallet, Georgia by 10.
Hey, what if it was we line up against Georgia? It's a 35-yard field goal for Jaden Fielding to send us a natty. Are you sending him out there, or are you throwing a deep ball up to Jeremiah Smith?
Deep ball. No, hold on. Before now, there is something to say about that. Gunnar Stockton, he was awful last year. Awful. That's why they lost. That's why Notre Dame beat him.
Yep.
But if you watch him this year, he's progressed to be useful. He's a good game manager. And Kirby Smart is that. I think he can have Gunnar Stockton manage the game enough. They run the ball well enough. Their defense is good enough. They worry me. I think you're 100% right. That is a national championship game, I think.
Yeah, I agree, because Indiana's going to play the winner of those two, and I think if Ohio State's in, we don't lose to them twice. I just don't think they can beat us twice. I think they beat Oregon twice. I don't think they can beat us twice. And then I just think Georgia at that point in time would beat Indiana also, just because Indiana, as good as they are, they're not going to have the speed and the physicality that Georgia has. That is something we've lacked a little bit this year on the offensive line, the physicality. Our runners aren't physical runners. Bo Jackson can put his head down when he needs to, but he's more of he's a swifty, he's a finesse guy. Georgia's guys right now, they are just run the ball dangerous, mean, nasty, all the time. And so I think that you're right. That is the pseudo national championship. Us and Georgia, every time we meet up in the semifinal, it's a pseudo national championship.
Yeah.
So.
Outside of Alabama, those two programs, I don't even really want to count Clemson. Those two they're the best programs of the last 10, 15 years. And so, I think people eye candy look at that game and they're like, oh, that's it. That's the game. That's the one. Yeah.
So last year we had to beat SEC, Oregon, SEC, Notre Dame to a natty. This year you would be SEC, Indiana to win a natty. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's a cool, good run. And we both admit that Bama could beat Indiana and Bama could beat Oregon. So I'd play Oregon and get a natty. I'd play Bama. I played Bama in that. Like, we're gonna have some good games. It's just like we said, this first round kind of blows. This first round kind of sucks. So it is what it is. It's just the playoff format right now. I do think they're seeing this problem. It's gonna get changed sooner rather than later. Maybe not next year, but within the next 2-3 years. It's probably gonna be 16. If it stays 12, it's gonna be fixed to where we don't have these issues.
God, it's not 24.
Yes. 16 is absolutely
they got to do
max.
something with,
yes.
but they got to do something because all these bowl games are going to disintegrate, and no one wants to watch the ReliaQuest bowl between UTEP and Southeastern Louisiana Monroe State Technical School of Beauty.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
So something's going to happen.
I think 16 is the magic number. I think it's a good number. And at the same time, too, as mad as I am on this one, I'm always a big proponent of, like, the 17th team is always going to be mad that they're not in. The 13th best team is always going to be mad that they're not in. But right now, the problem with this year is the 12th best team isn't in. The 11th best team isn't in because we're wasting 2 spots for teams that
The
don't deserve to be
13th
in.
best team. The 13th best team isn't in. You know, you could argue that. Yeah, you're right. Hey, I know we're winding down time. Do we have a couple minutes to talk NFL? I have some questions for you. I want to have some questions for you. You think Kansas City's dominance is done?
I think I have. Do you listen to my show on the regular basis?
What's your name?
Okay, so just like every other person that comes on here, you don't. I do my tier list every week, and I've had Kansas City as the Super Bowl contender, no matter how many times they've lost. This week was the time. They're moving off the tier list as Super Bowl contender. Do I absolutely think that next year they could be back in a position to win? Sure, 100%. Tom Brady had 10 years off between his 3rd Super Bowl and his 4th Super Bowl. I know they was in the AFC Championship games and he lost 2 Super Bowls, but he didn't win them every single year. And I just don't expect that. I guess we kind of got used to it with Kansas City. They're a really good team on paper, and this year just hasn't correlated to anything. So is it a disappointing year for them? Sure. And I'm shocked, honestly, by the result. But I think that they're going to kind of. Is this the end of the Andy Reid era? Maybe he just retires and they find the next guy. The offense isn't always the problem, but the O-line sometimes is. Travis Kelce just maybe gets forced the ball. I don't think he's retired, but maybe the Chiefs kind of move on from him, and the defense just has to it's just a shell of what it was before.
Yeah.
So it's not over. It's just over this year. It's not happening this year, obviously.
The one thing they do well is they do generally draft very well.
Yeah. But here's the thing too: if they won out and they got on the playoff, I would pick them every week to win. Because why would you not pick Patrick Mahomes at this point? Now I don't think they're going to win out. I think they're going to miss the playoffs, and that's their own. That's their own fault.
Do you think Will Howard is the answer in Pittsburgh?
I'd like to see him get an opportunity at least before the season's over. If week 18 comes and we have a playoff spot locked in, or we don't, then play him. If obviously you're fine for a spot, you're going to play Aaron Rodgers. But I wish the week that he was out that we would have not played Mason Rudolph and let him play. Just see what you have. Because I don't want us to go draft some jabroni in the first round, because we don't typically draft quarterbacks very well in the first round unless name's Ben Roethlisberger. And so obviously we've seen Will Howard more than anybody else. The Steelers have seen Will Howard, and us as Ohio State fans have seen him more than anybody else has. I obviously think there's a lot of talent there. I think there's a lot of good, and I love his size. And so give me that. But the Steelers' problems are a lot deeper than Will Howard. We still run an offense that's from 1975, and Mike Tomlin just doesn't change anything. So until we get rid of Mike Tomlin and
so you're proposing getting rid of Tomlin.
I'm at that point in time. Like I've been such a guy that is like, give him time. Now here's the only reason I don't want to is the moment you fire a coach, you might turn into what the Cleveland Browns are, and that's coaches every year, where Pittsburgh has had 3 coaches since 1965. And so I don't want them to turn into a laughingstock by making the dumb decision of firing him. But at the same time, too, it's time. It's time. And it's okay for it to be time. He's given a lot of years. He's won a lot of games. He won a Super Bowl with us, but it's just time.
Yeah, and it's a little bit like, Zach in Cincinnati. It's like, well, he's a really good guy, and he's really, I know, but results matter too, But all right, hey, I know we're closing in on an hour.
Yeah, 58 minutes. Since you don't listen to my podcast before, I always end this in a very special way. Do you know? Have you ever listened to my ending of how we end this?
Listen, Jason, I've never listened to your podcast before.
Okay, you better start listening to it. You better share this around. You better help people out. Okay?
I lied. I did listen to the first one.
Oh, okay. The very first one, 4 months ago. Appreciate it. Thank you for your support.
I listened.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you, your friendship, and all the people that do listen to this podcast. All 7 that consistently listen, and they know that we end this with Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams gave one of the best speeches of all time, and at the end of his speech, he gave my favorite quote of all time. You know what that quote is?
Where's the bathroom?
If you're gonna piss like a puppy, stay on the porch. Let the big dogs eat. So Jamal Williams, go ahead and take us out.
Because if you go piss like a puppy, stay on the porch and let the big dogs eat.